Hey guys, it's Mr. Hui Money here coming from the YouTube channel. So today I think I'd like to talk about an upcoming lease on my car. So I have a lease expiring in 2021 and the current car that I have is a Lexus RX. It's kind of a family size, mid to large size SUV four door. And I've leased this car for 4 years now and the MSRP in Canada was around 52,000. So I've been pretty happy with this car. Like Lexus typically has pretty good resale residual value. It's always been super reliable, and I'm been looking to lease my car or this car mainly just because I can use the cash for other investments. We can discuss kind of the pros and cons of leasing further on. But this car, I've been pretty happy with it. I've had it for 4 years. I think the monthly payment at zero down, I got a pretty decent deal. I think it was around a 0% lease rate. And the monthly payment is about 600, low 600s per month with the crash insurance on the lease policy. So I was taking a look at the cars coming up for the next year, the 2021 models, and seeing if I wanted to lease a Lexus again. To me, one of the problems with Lexus, what I didn't really like was their infotainment system has been really bad historically, and it's actually pretty laughable in my opinion. Because the computer kind of looks like something from the 90s. So technology has always been very poor, I think, in terms of display with the Lexus. But that's definitely a huge con. And I wanted to try a different car in terms of, leasing something. So this was kind of a back runner, and I don't really want to lease another Lexus since, I'm doing 3 to 4 leases. I'd like to try something new, which I think is an advantage of leasing. So I was looking at two other alternatives, the Porsche Macan, which starts at around 57 in Canada. And I think Porsche has done a good job with lowering their MSRP. So they're obviously trying to sell their cars to a much broader market and lower the MSRP to, I think in the 50s and 60s, they would gain a large market share. And they have two very popular SUV lineup. So as a family person with 2 kids, I was looking at the Macan just because the MSRP is, lower in the 50s and 60s. It's a little bit more digestible. It's not crazy expensive. So I test drive one and the interior was really good. I really liked it. It drove amazingly. And the only thing I did not really like was Porsche with Macan, they have a lot of different trims, and obviously, it starts at 57,000, but as you move up to the S and GTS and Turbo, the trims get very expensive. You can see that the Turbo is almost double the price of the base. So I found with Porsche, just in my personal opinion, you have to be very careful with what tier you pick and the options that you pick. I drove the Macan, the base, mainly because of the price as we discussed, and for my family, I don't think I would be needing the crazy extra horsepower because like the Macan S is insanely fast. I guess I would say normal people, I would find it very fast. I drove the 4-cylinder, turbo Macan, and it was not, like crazy fast, but I feel like it was enough. And just going through the options, I'll make another video on it. But the options can add up very quickly on Porsche. If you look at their website, almost everything is an option. So I went through the options list and chose very minimal, but I think is good enough options, and it brought the base price to about 60,000. And so it was a very interesting car, but I thought the base price was a little bit high for what you're getting, basically a 4-cylinder car. So you're paying a lot for the Porsche badge. The other car that I considered, which was very interesting, was actually the Model Y. And they had done a price cut recently, where in Canada it was, I think, 75,000, and they cut the price 6,000 to now the price on the long range is below 70. So that made it very interesting as a competitor to Porsche because they're somewhat in the same ballpark within 5 or 10,000 base price. So what also made me consider this car now was that in Canada, they allowed leases on the Model Y, which they didn't up to about like 3 weeks ago. So that was very interesting to me because in the past, you were only allowed to purchase it outright. So as you can see, they have a lease option, and the details of it, I think it's pretty. They just started a few weeks ago, but I think the implied lease rate is pretty reasonable, around 3 to 4%. So it put it kind of in the same ballpark as the Macan. So I feel that they were pretty on par. And if you kind of factor in the maintenance per year on the Tesla Model Y, I think the net cost becomes very similar. So I'll I'll update the spreadsheet to see what the end kind of cost would be in terms of a 4-year lease of these models, since they're kind of similar. I mean, the RX is very steady to me. I've had it before, so I don't really want to lease it again. But the advantages are it's very reliable, high residual, and the lease rate is very low. I was able to get, near 0% as a returning lease person. The other automakers, they have incentives right now, but Porsche has, very historically had very high lease rates, around 5 to 6%. And currently they have promotions that if you take delivery immediately, they're around 4%. And as I've shown, the kind of implied financing lease rate, implied lease rate is around 4% on the Model Y. But the big plus is that the maintenance would be near zero. So I'll be doing some more videos, maybe breaking down the exact cost of this. But, these seem to be interesting choices right now. But my front choice is on the Model Y, so maybe I'll do some more analysis on that going forward. So just stay tuned on the channel and I'll be producing more content.